इसके पहले वाले वीडियो में हमने क्या कहाँ तक देखा था, बैंक ऑडिट का पेज नंबर 10, दैट इज़ पेज नंबर 10-11 तक हमने पिछले वीडियो में रिकॉर्ड कर लिया था। अब इस वीडियो में हम रिकॉर्ड करेंगे पेज नंबर 11 से। पेज नंबर कौन से? पेज नंबर 11 से। ओके, सो पेज नंबर 11 में अब हम कौन से टॉपिक पर थे? इंटरनल ऑडिट एंड इंस्पेक्शन। तो इसमें हम क्या देखेंगे कि रिस्क बेस्ड इंटरनल ऑडिट क्या होती है। तो रिस्क बेस्ड RBIA, दैट इज रिस्क बेस्ड इंटरनल ऑडिट, कंडक्ट होती है बेस्ड अपॉन द रिस्क असेसमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस एंड कंट्रोल रिस्क। कौन सी रिस्क? दो तरह की रिस्क की बात हो रही है, कंट्रोल रिस्क एंड कौन सी दूसरी? बिजनेस रिस्क। तो आप इजीली याद रख सकते हो, रिस्क बेस्ड इंटरनल ऑडिट में कौन सी दो रिस्क की बात हो रही है? रिस्क असेसमेंट ऑफ बिजनेस रिस्क एंड कंट्रोल रिस्क। अब इसमें हम क्या देखेंगे, अगर हम हाईलाइट करें चीज़ें, आइडेंटिफिकेशन ऑफ इनहेरेंट बिजनेस रिस्क, दैट इज़ बिजनेस रिस्क जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया। दूसरी कौन सी है? कंट्रोल रिस्क। एंड थर्ड क्या है? असेसमेंट ऑफ ओवरऑल बिजनेस रिस्क एंड कंट्रोल रिस्क, डायरेक्शन ऑफ ओवरऑल बिजनेस रिस्क एंड कंट्रोल रिस्क, दोनों को कंबाइन करके लिख दिया। और फोर्थ पॉइंट क्या है? रिस्क मैट्रिक्स। तो रिस्क मैट्रिक्स कैसे ड्रॉ होगी? सारे फैक्टर्स को कंसिडर करके, सारे फैक्टर्स को कंसिडर करके, दैट इज़ रिस्क को कंसिडर करके रिस्क मैट्रिक्स ड्रॉ होगी। तो अब आपको ये 4 पॉइंट्स ईजीली याद हो गई। अगर हम ये 4 पॉइंट्स अगेन रिवाइज करें तो रिस्क बेस्ड इंटरनल ऑडिट में कौन सी 4 पॉइंट्स कवर होगी? पहली है बिजनेस रिस्क, दूसरी है कंट्रोल रिस्क, थर्ड है ओवरऑल डायरेक्शन ऑफ बोथ 1 and 2, दैट इज़ बोथ बिजनेस रिस्क एंड कंट्रोल रिस्क, और फोर्थ पॉइंट है ड्रॉ करेंगे, क्या ड्रॉ करेंगे? रिस्क मैट्रिक्स, दैट इज़ RM, रिस्क मैट्रिक्स। और रिस्क मैट्रिक्स कैसे ड्रॉ होगी? टेकिंग इनटू अकाउंट फैक्टर्स ऑफ रिस्क ऑफ ब्रांच। Now when we come to the next topic, that is internal control in certain selected areas. So here is system of internal control in banks. General में क्या क्या cover होगी, examples क्या क्या हो जाएगी internal control की? The staff and officers of bank should be shifted from one position to another frequently without prior notice. So these are very general. You remember in CA Inter also you might have studied the vouching verification points. These are similar to those. You can easily frame the points on your own also. So the staff and officers of bank should be shifted from one position to another. The work of one person should be checked by another person, so it will be very appropriate, like one person work is being checked by the another person. Then the accuracy will also be there. The accuracy should be proved independently every day. Bank forms should be kept in the position of an officer because the bank forms are of responsibility. Then the mail should be opened by a responsible officer. Now signature book should be kept with responsible officers. Like 3 points you can see easily that there is responsible officer. Bank forms, responsible officer. Mail should be by responsible officer. Signature book by responsible officer. So 3 points are there related to the responsible officer. Okay, so now if we come down to the point of cash, cash should be kept in the joint custody of 2 responsible officers. Again, which word came there? Responsible officers, which was here also. Now when we see the next point, the cashier should have no access to the customer's ledger accounts and the day book. Now the counterfoil of cash received voucher should be signed by an officer in cash department. Payment should be made only after the vouchers have been passed for payment, or everything should be authorized, that is by the authorized officer, and have been entered in the customer's account. So similarly all the points you can see, and you can shorten up the points on your own. You can just remember the points keywords, like the keywords was responsible officer, keyword was bank forms, keyword was mails. Like if you see, if I can highlight for you, keyword was mail, responsible officer, signature book, telegraphic code, responsible officers. Only these keywords you have to remember, then you can frame the sentences on your own. Now if we see the next heading, that is clearings. So in this also 2 to 3 points you can easily remember. Okay, so I will highlight it for you. Under the CTS implemented by RBI, an electronic image of check is transmitted to paying branch. This effectively what it does, it eliminates the associated cost of movement of physical checks. Physical check movement of cost will be reduced, and also what will be reduced? Time required for their collection. So this is a positive point. Now if we see the next point, as per RBI guidelines, branch is required to either call the customer or mail him for any check received for an amount which is greater than or equal to 5 lakh, that is a higher amount. Now auditor is to check whether signature is being verified by the staff or not. So these are very basic vouching points. Bills for collection, similarly you can do. Bills purchased, few points you can do. Then there is loans and advances, demand drafts, credit card operations. Credit card operations is a bit more important, so don't miss on this. There should be effective screening of applications, strict control over storage and issue of cards. Reimbursement should be made only after verification of validity. All the reimbursement should be immediately charged to customer's account. So these points you have to just remember. There should be a system to ensure that statements are sent regularly and promptly to customer. Every time it has to be sent to customer. System to monitor and follow up होना चाहिए कि customer के payments का follow up हो रहा है. Payments जो कि unreasonably period के beyond overdue हो जा रहा है उसको identify करना है and attend करना है. Periodic review of credit card holders accounts रहेगा. Okay, then we come to the compliance with CRR and SLR requirements. So all of you might be knowing what is the CRR and SLR requirements. Now see, SLR, RBI requires statutory central auditors. Yesterday we saw SCA, that is statutory central auditors, to verify the compliance with SLR requirements of 12 odd dates in a different month of fiscal year, not being Fridays. So this also you can remember. Correctness of the compilation of detailed position and maintenance of liquid assets prescribed under section 24 of Banking Regulation Act. Then is this, what are the audit procedures we can apply for compliance with CRR and SLR requirements. So in this also you can highlight some points. Understanding of the relevant circulars of RBI. Request the branch auditors to send their weekly trial balance on Friday and consolidate it to head office. Examine consolidations regarding detailed position prepared by the bank. Paid up capital, reserves, amount of loan. These points you can remember. Also, if you want these highlighted points, you can download this PDF from the link given in the comment section, that is the Telegram link. Okay, so I'll highlight and upload the PDF. Now if we come to the verification of assets part, if you can see here, verification of assets, there is cash balance, bank balance, money at call and at short notice. So cash, earlier also we did the audit procedures for cash. Now again you can see what for cash what we can do, carry out physical verification of cash, like cash at ATM, cash at cash deposit machines, as close to the balance sheet date as possible. So on what date? The closest date possible to the balance sheet date. Now the cash balance as physically verified should be agreed with the balance shown in the, where the balance shown, the cash register balance in CBS should match with the physical balance. Now balance with RBI, balance with other banks, that is other than RBI, these 15 days more if remaining unresponded. These all points you can recall and remember. Money at call and short notice. Examine whether there is proper system of authorization. Authorization can be of two types, general or specific, for lending of the money at call or short notice. Now examine whether the aggregate balance comprising this item tally with the control accounts. Verify that interest has been properly accrued and accounted for the on year and outstanding balances. Now investments, what are the audit approach to be followed for investments? See, physical verification. So we have to verify investments held with Public Debt Office of RBI, custodians and depository, with the statement of holdings as on the date of balance sheet. We also have to verify the investment scripts physically at the close of the business on the date of balance sheet. Now we can also ask for confirmation. See, independent balance confirmation request can be made in accordance with SA 505. If certain securities are held in the names of nominees, then what can auditor do? It should examine whether there are proper transfer deeds signed by the holders. See, you don't need memory tricks for these points, yeah, because these are just general points. You can frame on your own also. Now if we come down to advances. So in advances also, the whatever are given in these blue boxes, these are given These are given the audit procedures. So at least 2 to 3 points, 4 points you should remember. Rest of the points you can frame on your own. See, we have to verify correctness of master data of loan accounts updated in CBS. Verify that each customer of bank is tagged under single customer ID. These points you can remember. Then here is this list of SMA 1 and 2 borrowers. Examine quick or early mortality accounts. Any advance slippage to NPA within 12 months of its sanction is called quick or early mortality case. So these points you have to remember. Now there is verification of asset classification, income recognition and provisioning for NPA, that is non-performing assets. So this NPA concept is also very important. You need to remember this. Now when we come down to the audit procedures, classification and provision. First comes the classification and provision. We have to verify whether bank has a system of ongoing identification and classification of advances through CBS without manual intervention and its accuracy in crystallizing date of NPA. We have to examine whether classification made by branch is appropriate or not. Everything we have to examine related to the classification and the provisioning part, whether if the classification is done, how it is done, on what basis it is done, whether it is appropriate or not. Examine whether the secured and the unsecured portions have been segregated correctly. The secured part is gone into the secured part and the rest in the unsecured part. The segregation should be done very clearly. Then we have to review and compare the date of NPA of loan accounts mentioned in current year statements, and any changes, then reason should be ascertained. Then what we'll see, then there is accounts with temporary differences. See, there is accounts with temporary deficiencies. Bank should not classify an advance account as NPA merely due to the existence of some deficiencies which are temporary in nature. So, how the deficiencies should be permanent deficiencies. On the basis of temporary deficiencies, we should not classify it as NPA. Now see, however, stock statements relied upon by the banks for determining drawing power should not be older than 3 months. The outstanding in the account based on drawing power calculated older than 3 months are considered as irregular. Ensure adherence to these guidelines. So this 3 months limit you have to remember. It can come in MCQ also and questions also. Now limits not reviewed. Accounts where regular or ad hoc limits are not reviewed within 180 days from the due date of ad hoc sanction should be considered as NPA. This also you have to remember. Then there is government guaranteed advances. This is also important. If government guaranteed advances becomes NPA, then for the purpose of income recognition, interest should not be taken into income unless interest is realized. Okay, so this point is important. If government guarantee advance becomes NPA, then for the purpose of income recognition, interest on such advance, what you have to remember, interest of such advance will be on receipt basis, that is should not be taken to income unless interest is realized. However, for purpose of asset classification, credit facility backed by central government guarantee, though overdue, can be treated as NPA only when the central government repudiates its guarantee when invoked. This exception is not applicable for state government. So this line very important for MCQ and descriptive both. You have to remember that this exception is not applicable for state government guaranteed advances, only for central government, where advance is to be considered NPA if it remains overdue for more than 90 days. Now see the next point. There is agricultural advances. This is also again important. In agricultural advances, what we have to do, we have to ensure that NPA norms have been applied in accordance with the, this is important, in accordance with the crop season determined by the state level bankers committee in each state. Depending upon the duration of crops, that is short term, long term, raised by an agriculturist, NPA norms would also be made applicable to agricultural term loan availed by them. Similarly, restructuring advances you will do. Then you will do sale or purchase of NPAs. This is again important. In this also, in case of sale of NPA points, you will remember, and also in case of purchase of NPAs. So this you have to learn. In case of sale of NPA, if sale price is at below the net book value, shortfall should be debited. These adjustments, whatever the treatment will be there, you have to remember this. Okay, so this you will learn. Then there is fixed assets. Then the audit procedures relating to the fixed assets. Then what is the internal control audit procedures? Now there is other fixed assets. Then in case of sale of fixed assets, what you will do? Leased assets, what you will do? And in impairment assets, what you will do? Then there is other assets. You will do some points from this. Give a basic reading. Then if you come down to the Basel frameworks, there will be some formulas. So this tier 1 capital is important, tier 2 capital is important, this capital risk adequacy ratio is important, CRAR. Learn this formula. Then there is reserves and surplus. In reserves and surplus, there it will come statutory reserves, capital reserve, share premium, revenue and other reserves, including investment fluctuation reserve, balance in P&L account. Then there are again some audit procedures given with respect to current and savings account, term deposits, deposits designated in foreign currencies, others, general. Then there is borrowings. Related to borrowings, again audit procedures, few points you can remember which is very easy to remember. External confirmations, clear distinction has been made between rediscount and refinance. Then there is relevant correspondence or other documents to ensure. Then there is amount shown in the branch accounts is properly classified. Then there are again bills payable also you have to do. This is also important. Few points from these you will learn. Then there is contingent liability. This is also important. You have to learn these points. Claims, liability, guarantees, acceptances, endorsements, other items. See, claims, liabilities, liabilities on foreign exchange, guarantees, endorsements, other items. To remember these points. Then there is audit approach. You have to again this is also important. You have to remember these audit approach. Few points you will remember. Whichever point seems easy to you, you can accordingly remember those points. Then again contingent liabilities, claims, liability, all those 5 to 6 points are given in detail. Bills for collection. And then finally comes the auditor's report part. After all the audit procedures comes the auditor's report. So in auditor's report, what you will do, you will learn the points: full and fair balance sheet, any explanation whether satisfactory or not, whether transactions which have come to auditor's notice have been in the powers of that bank. Every point are very easy, you just have to go through these points. Then there will come the long form audit report, which is again important. So in this again you can do these points which are written in bold. Then there is reports and certificates. See, again the statutory central auditor provides reports and certificates mainly consisting of the following. So I have to learn few points. See, SLR requirements also we read. LFAR we read, long form audit report, operating effectiveness of internal financial controls. 3 points like this only, very easy. Then again, in respect of custody of unused bank receipts, authentication of capital adequacy ratio, this CRR, that is capital risk adequacy ratio, also we saw above the formula. Then the asset liability management, cash deposit ratio. So these all you can do. Now if we come down, there is foreign exchange point. What audit procedures in case of foreign exchange? So this is also very easy. We have to check the foreign bills negotiated under letter of credit, that is LOC. Then we have to check the inward outward remittances, extension and cancellation of forward contracts, balance in notes to accounts, which you have also studied in SFM. Ensure that overbought or oversold position maintained in different currencies is reasonable. We have to adhere to the guidance of RBI or HO. So these all points are very easy. Then there is housekeeping. So this way, now the questions part will come. So you can, after doing all these, you can practice the questions.